This is steamy. I have to admit, until I saw everything about Bridgerton on social media, I had no idea what the show Bridgerton would have to do with my channel as something that talks all about women's health. I was like, I don't really understand. However, after watching this episode that someone said, I want to know your take on this, I was like, okay, this is very, very relevant to my channel. As someone who talks about vaginas and intimacy and intercourse, this just fits right in. So let's go ahead and dive right in.
My husband. Seems so strange to finally be able to say that.
I suppose I put this conversation off as long as I can.
Well, what do you recommend?
I know you and the Duke, well, whatever took place between the two of you, you may very well know some things already.
I know nothing, I assure you.
Well, there are some things you ought to know.
In case you're not all caught up in Bridgerton, which I'm not either, but I have gathered from the wedding dress and this conversation that she is going to be getting married today. Her mom has now come in and is going to give her some advice about her wedding night, which I wish she would just like spit it out. Tell us about the wedding night. She obviously wants to know. She's very wise for seeking out the advice of her mother and saying, like, what do you recommend? So that's awesome that she is willing to have that conversation. Sometimes I feel like people just don't know who to have that conversation with, and so they just don't ask and don't know, and it can make things feel really awkward and uncomfortable.
Some things that will happen that involve you and your husband, the Duke, obviously. Well, you see, the marital act, which, now that you are married, you may perform.
If it is this difficult to discuss, how difficult must it be to perform?
It is not, dearest. It is most natural. Much in the way that rain soaks a field in autumn and in spring flowers grow.
Okay, I agree with her mom that the act of intercourse is supernatural. It is inherent. It was made with the purpose of procreating. Obviously, by the amount of people in the world, we are doing a very good job of figuring out how this is done. However, it does kind of make it seem like it's just gonna happen and it'll be really easy. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail because my husband really doesn't like when I share too much about what happens during sexy time with everyone in the world that wants to watch my YouTube videos, but I know he wouldn't mind me sharing that we were virgins on our wedding night, and so it was a little bit scary about like exactly how is this going to go. Let's be honest, it was not like anything that I'm guessing we're going to be seeing in this Bridgerton episode. Things were awkward, things didn't really go well, and that's what I want to, I guess, say about this scene here, is that while intercourse is nothing we should feel ashamed about or like it's dirty or, you know, we're in trouble if we do it, like that's your decision to decide who you want to do it with and when is the right time for you to do it. But if you are both in agreement that this is a good idea, this is what we want to do, it doesn't mean things are just going to be awesome and happy and wonderful. There are lots of things like dryness, there is tension, there's pain sometimes. Let's break this down a little bit further. We hear all sorts of things about women that squirt or like tons of lubrication, and the more turned on you are, the more naturally wet you are. But sometimes it really has nothing to do with that. Some people are just naturally more dry in their vaginas than other people. It mostly has to do with hormone levels. Sometimes if you're nervous because you've never done it before, you might be nervous on your wedding night. You're not gonna produce as much natural lubricant. If you just go straight for penetration, there's no foreplay leading up to intercourse, there's going to be some dryness, so using different things like a lubricant is a really good idea. And if I had one piece of advice I would give to every couple that is ready to have intercourse for the first time, it would be to research lubricants and get a really good one. I'll link a video above about how I think coconut oil is a really great lubricant, unless you're going to use condoms, and then do not use coconut oil as a lubricant. Or sometimes we just think that first time is going to be so hot and steamy and it's going to be like every rom-com ever, but the truth is you are going to be figuring out exactly what the other person likes. You're going to be figuring out what you like. It's going to take longer than you maybe expected, or maybe he's not going to last as long as you expected. It's just going to take a lot of communication. It's going to take moving slow, and it just doesn't always happen like the movies.
When you were younger, do you remember we had 2 hounds in the country?
Bassets, in fact.
That is right. Well,
No one explained it to them. But they were puppies. I see. So this act is performed to have children. Yes. Oh.
Yes, intercourse is often used as a way of procreating. However, many of us have intercourse lots and lots of times without procreating.
I've spent the last 3 days wanting to be alone with you, wanting to talk to you, wanting to know. I understand that you do not wish to see me, that you would prefer to stay in your separate room and endure a wordless dinner together on our wedding night.
That's not what I prefer.
Simon,
You're mistaken.
you have avoided my presence.
In order to allow you your liberty.
You've said all but a few words to me.
In order to keep myself from saying the wrong things.
Barely been able to look me in the eye.
Because I could not bear witness to the misery I have caused you.
You did not. I am the one who trapped you into this marriage.
I trapped you.
I literally have no idea what they're talking about as far as trapping him into the marriage. I guess you'll have to watch Bridgerton on Netflix to figure out exactly what they're talking about, but I will say it's super unfortunate that there was no communication leading up to, I'm guessing, what's going to be a pretty intimate moment for them, because communication and foreplay, the foreplay of connection outside of just that moment of like physical connection is really important. So I'm glad that they're finally talking about things, because there is no way I would want to just go right into penetrative intercourse without first having a chance to talk to someone and, you know, make that personal connection.
But do not get angry.
I'm not angry.
You're not angry. And all that look at you, you're downright flushed.
Yes, that is what happens.
When one is angry.
When one burns for someone who does not feel the same. This may hurt a moment.
Sorry for only showing you bits and pieces, but I don't want to make this too X-rated, given that YouTube is really a platform for anyone and everyone, and also it's only fair to Netflix if I make sure that you have a subscription to watch some of the steamiest parts of the Bridgerton episodes. But just to give you a quick rundown, basically after telling each other that they burn for each other, they start undressing each other, they then go ahead and go straight for intercourse. Now, for sure, the first time and all the emotions that they are feeling, which obviously if you just told someone you burn for them, there are a lot of good sensations going on in your body, and this is an excellent form of foreplay, undressing each other. Again, a great thing to do for foreplay. However, when it gets to that penetrative scene, that comment about this is gonna hurt for a moment, yeah, that's true. I don't really feel like they depicted that accurately. Like, they didn't really show her in pain, and that first time it can hurt really bad, especially if you have any type of vaginismus is the big term for it, but any type of pain when you've gone to insert a tampon, a menstrual cup, or anything like that. If you've experienced pain, you're probably going to have quite a bit of pain with penetration. The other thing that is really uncomfortable for me about this scene, and I feel like just sets this standard of like, every sexual encounter is going to be filled with orgasms. They're going to happen at the perfect moment. First thing to note is that orgasm does not always happen on the first time, doesn't always happen every time. It doesn't always happen at the perfect time, matching up with your partner. Usually there is some practice that needs to happen there. Sometimes it doesn't happen with penetration and you need external stimulation instead. It's usually not just like this harmonious thing that happens right at the perfect moment. So I feel like that's a little bit misleading about this scene. Again, we've already talked about lube, but I think it's worth mentioning again that that would definitely help things go smoothly that first time. Things I love about this scene are that they are talking to each other. He is trying to increase arousal by things that he is saying to her, things he's making her think about. All those are excellent forms of foreplay, and while it's always fun to watch a nice love scene in a rom-com, it just sets the standard that sex is going to be easy and things are going to go really well, and it's going to be this moment with like birds singing and like love happening, and it isn't always like that. And so to set your expectation realistically, you should just know that sometimes it takes a lot of practice. It takes getting to know how your body works, what your body likes, communicating with your partner so that the timing is right, because quite typically men are able to orgasm a lot sooner than women, and so it just takes some time for all of that to go just right. Bottom line here is that we would love for all of us to have those rom-com moments in the bedroom, but realistically that just isn't always the case. There are many different types of professionals, including ones like myself. I'm actually a pelvic floor physical therapist, which means I work with women all the time that say it's really uncomfortable to have intercourse, or intercourse used to be really good and then I had a baby and now things are totally different and things just don't feel right. For me personally, I had an episiotomy, it sucked, and things after that were really hard. I had to work myself with the pelvic floor physical therapist, do my exercises and my homework to make sure that that eventually became a good sensation again. So don't think that there's anything wrong with you if intercourse doesn't feel good. Also, don't just try to tough it out and think if I just keep trying, eventually this is going to get easier. It doesn't always happen that way. And it's really important to set realistic expectations for what it's going to be like and know what's normal and what's not normal. And definitely pain with intercourse is normal maybe the first time or two, but it really should start to get better, especially if you're taking that time to warm up and have foreplay and using lubricant. If it doesn't get better, you really need to seek out someone like myself or another pelvic floor physical therapist in your area to make sure you do get to experience the full pleasure of intercourse. If watching TV to learn about exactly how your body works is your thing, go ahead and check out this playlist over here. I've done reactions to several different YouTube videos and TV shows and things like that, and so you can check that out over there. For everyone else, it has been so fun watching Bridgerton with you. I will see you all in the next video.